In today's video, I'm showing you how to make a multiplayer game in Godot without a dedicated server. This tutorial uses Epic Online Services, which allows for cross-platform play that's not LAN, and best of all, it's free. And this tutorial is in GDScript, however at the end there'll be a little bit of C#, however this could be any language. And the first thing we need to do to get this working is set up Epic Online Services. Now before I go any further, let me quickly explain Epic Online Services. So this is a tool or a set of tools offered by Epic Games, which is the company that makes Fortnite and Unreal Engine. They were originally designed for Unreal, but now they work with a lot of engines, including Godot. And in short, there are a bunch of tools for multiplayer. So there's achievements, there's peer-to-peer, there's matchmaking, and we're going to be using peer-to-peer and matchmaking in our game to allow two people on different networks to connect to each other. So the first thing you need to do is go to the Epic Online Services website. I'll leave a link in the description. You'll be asked to sign in and create an organization, but you can just push individual and that works fine, completely free. And then once you have that, you should see a button that says create product, name your product whatever you want, and then push create. And after a second, you'll see a settings button pop up, and you'll want to click that to open up the project settings. All right, from there, you go to the clients tab, click add new client, type in a name for your client, it doesn't matter, and then push add new client policy. And then you have to name the policy as well. And then once you do that, you can go down here and click on what policies you want. And I'm just going peer-to-peer for this tutorial, but you pick whatever suits your needs best. However, you'll need the connect and matchmaking for this tutorial, and then push save. Once you've done that, go back to the main page and click on create application where it says no applications, then push create and go to application client and select the client you just created. Push save changes, then go to this middle tab here, turn on the online presence and friends, and then push save changes there. And then you can ignore brand settings, doesn't really matter for this tutorial. So just exit out of that and you'll have your application. All right, once you've done that, go to Godot, open up a project, go to asset library, and search up Epic Online Services, and click on this one here. And then push install. And once this all loads, you will get a pop-up asking you to install. So push yes or push install. And then this will take another second. And once this is done, you'll see a bunch of errors pop up just like that. And you can ignore all those since those are from the sample project, I believe. And then go project, project settings, globals, and then turn it on. And once you've done that, you can close it and it's installed. Finally, go create a scene, use a control as the base node, attach a script to it in GD, and then save that, the scene, and the script. And then from here, I don't show it in the clip, but I add 3 buttons, and then I install a multiplayer game I already made. And if you want to see how to make that game, the link is in the description below. But it is not necessary, as you could plug this into any multiplayer game once you get the code right. And the last thing we need to do before we hop into the code is go back to the Epic website and copy these 6 values shown on screen here. We'll need them for the code so that our computer can connect to the website. All right, once all that is set up, now we get into the code. So at the top of our code here, we have a few global variables. You'll need an EOS multiplayer peer, and we set that on ready. And then we have a local user ID, is server, and peer user ID. This one's a string, this one's a Boolean, and this one is just an integer. So the first thing we do is initialize the SDK. We do that by creating init_ops, which is EOS platform initialize options new. And we set the product name and version of this equal to the product name and ID that we get from the Epic's website. And then we create this init result, and we try to initialize this. If it doesn't work, we'll error. Otherwise, we say initialize EOS. And then we create this create options from EOS platform create option new. And then these 6 here are the 6 things you had to copy from the previous site. And these are your product ID, sandbox ID, deployment ID, client secret, and encryption key. Once all this is set up, we create this variable var create results, and we set EOS platform interface create based on this create ops. So we take all these values, we go in here, create results, and then we print EOS platform created. And then we have this part here, which setups the logs. So it's EOS get interface logging interface callback.connect on logging interface callback, which is this function down here. and we set the log level to be all and info. And then if that's not a success, we print it. Otherwise, we connect it down here. And all it is we get the message from this, and we print message category and message. Then once all this gets through, we connect an interface login callback on connect login callback, which is this down here. So if our login fails, we print it. Otherwise, we print login successful. We store the local user ID. We set hauth, this one's important, hauth product user ID equal to local user ID. If you don't do this, it will say everything's invalid. Then we display text as successful login, and we set this temporary visible equal to true. And once all that's done, we set up these two peer connected and peer disconnected, which I'll cover later. And then we do this anon login. And that's this function down here, which creates a device ID options login. We get the name and the model name for our OS system. We create a device ID, and then we wait for Epic to get the device ID to us. Then we create these credentials. We don't need a token, and the type is device ID access token. And then we create these login options, and the login options, we create a new one. We set our credentials, then we create user login info. We store a name, login info, and then we connect it by logging in. And what all of this does is when we ran our program, this gets us to the successfully logged in. Because if we go to, where is it? On connect login successful, it will say successfully logged in. So that's all this part. Now the next part is to get from that to lobbies. And then once we have lobbies, we connect to eNet. So we have these two buttons down here, create and search lobbies based on these, and we show them once we finish that. So in our create lobbies, we create var create options, which is EOS lobby create options new. We set the bucket ID to whatever your game is. Mine is just called Fight Poker, and this is for a different project. You can set the max number of lobby members, so mine is a 1v1 game, but yours can be different. Once we do that, we create a new lobby. So we await create lobbies async with these create options. And if it's null, we say it failed and we return. Otherwise, we store the result of peer.createServer, and this is just the socket. So mine, again, you could change it to whatever you want. Just keep these different. And then if that doesn't work, we error. Otherwise, we set this peer, which we declared at the start, equal to multiplayer.multiplayerPeer. We say created the lobby. We set ourselves as a server, and we hide the buttons again. And now our search lobby code does something similar. We await hlobbies.search by bucket ID async fight poker. So this is the first one. If we don't find any lobbies, we display no lobbies found. If we do, we set hlobby equal to the first one we find. We join by ID async, and we grab the lobby's ID. And once that happens, we store the results of peer.createClient. Again, this is the second one. And then we also store lobby owner product user ID as the ID we're connecting to. And if the results are not okay, we error. Otherwise, we set the multiplayer peer equal to multiplayer.multiplayerPeer. We hide the buttons and we display found lobby. So both of these, what these do is when you push either create or join game, the first one will create a lobby and set up the multiplayer peer so that we can access it from Godot. And the second one does the same thing, but instead of creating a game, it joins a game. And this uses Epic's matchmaking system, so we don't have to input codes or IP addresses. It will just automatically connect us from their server. And then finally, once that's done, we show this play button, because we can go create lobby. Oh yeah, and then we have these two functions, on peer connected and on peer disconnected, that we set at the beginning. Now this is where they come in, because once both of these run and we have a lobby that joined, it'll run on peer connected, it'll print player connected, and if we are the server, we show this play button, and we set the peer user ID equal to the peer ID. And disconnected just prints when we disconnect. And what this play button does is it allows us to call this function, on test pressed. So that is all you need to get from EOS to Godot. Because now I'm calling sendPlayerData, which is a function I have in C# that sends data back and forth and spawns things for this scene here so that we can use our player and our multiplayer synchronizer. and then we await a second just to make sure these all get sent, and then we start game.rpc. And RPC is Godot's way of sending multiplayer messages as functions. And if we go up here, start game, it spawns in this game instance, which is our level here, and we add it to the tree and we hide display. So once you've gotten to that point, it will allow you can use your normal Godot functions, you can call RPCs, the multiplayer synchronizers will work, and all of that is nice. And I will leave a link to this code in the description, as it is quite confusing, and it is a hodgepodge of the initial code on the EOS Godot plugin and code I made to get the lobbies working. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see a simpler way to get multiplayer working that's just local, click here, and until next time, see ya.